Hello and welcome back to Wildflower Flock. My name is Olivia. Today's video is our mid-year check-in in our homeschool. Alright everyone, I always promised I would. I'm going to keep it real with you today. I have tried to record this video, write down my thoughts, all of the above, and it is just not working. So I'm hoping that just coming to you as authentically as possible helps my flow. I want to hit on a few things today for our mid-year homeschool check-in. And it's really important to me that you don't feel left alone in this journey. And so I want to let you know our story and what happened to us this year so far. So my son is in first grade, and we live in New York State, and that means that we have to start reporting to our district on the requirements that New York State has set for homeschool moms, families, I should say. And I had no idea where to start with this. My district was less than helpful, not in a bad way. They're really great to work with, honestly. It's just they didn't really answer much for me. I couldn't really find moms in my district that homeschooled the way I like to homeschool. So I really just kind of felt alone. And being me, if you know me, you know, I went all out. I bought all of the things. I bought all of the curriculum. I bought all of everything that fell into the requirements that were needed. And every single day, about 6 or 7 days a week, we sat down and we did all of the things because I really wanted to make sure that no one from New York was going to come knocking on my door and tell me that I could not homeschool my kids because. So I very quickly realized that with working and homeschooling and just life in general, that was not going to work for us. It wasn't going to happen. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I was frustrated every time I had to do something. And I couldn't stay true to the style of homeschool that we enjoy, the very hands-on, child-led. It was not child-led at all. It was like, okay, hurry up and sit down. We need to do this in 10 minutes, and you're not writing fast enough. And honestly, I'm kind of like ashamed to think back on it and a little bit embarrassed to tell you guys. But I tell you because I want you to know that if you are feeling the same way, it's okay. It's probably normal, and there are ways to come out of that. And so what our family did was we all took a step back, a very big step back, and we basically just did the bare minimum. We did math, language arts, science, history, not every single day, but a couple hours here and there, and just enough to legally hit the requirements while kind of trying to take a deschooling period. And what I mean by deschooling is, for us, there are a couple of ways that you could look at it. For us, the way we did it was we took out everything that a school would be. So you think about going to a public school. We took out everything like that. I did not want to be a teacher. I did not want to stand over them and give them time limits and be upset with them and yelling at them. And so we really took that time to just kind of take a huge step back and reevaluate. And we did this for about 2 months, honestly. And it was great. It was awesome. We were able to kind of figure out a new routine for ourselves as parents. We were able to fit in a rhythm for our homeschool, when we were going to homeschool, how long it was going to take us. And then after those things started to fall into place, we sat down and consulted with the kids. And I feel like to some this may seem silly, like, oh my gosh, they're 7 and 5 or 6 and 4 at the time. But for our family, it's very, very important that the way that they're learning is how they want to learn. It interests them. It's engaging. It makes them want to do it. And so we sat down with the kids and we talked to them about what was going on and, you know, this isn't what we want our homeschool to look like. And we almost did like a family values or mission statement surrounding our homeschool. So child-led, nature-based, a few hours a day, lots of play, things like that, lots of reading, and just kind of tried to get back into the flow, slowly introducing things. And so some of the bigger changes that we made were definitely with our curriculum. If you haven't seen it, I did do a curriculum choices video in the beginning of the year. I'll link it right here. And I still stand by those curriculums. I loved them. I've used them in the past. I would use them. I would suggest them to people. But now I have better knowledge about the style, and just kind of like how much they each take. So what I mean by that is there was some that definitely needed to be planned and prepped every single time we did them. And I did not have time for that. I don't, to be honest with you, I really don't. So we needed to find something that worked for us. And so I'm going to show you guys really quick just kind of what changed for our curriculum. Okay, everyone, so let's get into curriculum changes. So I have all of the first grade curriculum out, and I just want to show you kind of what we changed, and I'll start with math. So math, we started off the year with this Charlotte Mason Elementary Arithmetic Series, and I still do reference this for all lessons, but we don't use it how it's necessarily intended to be used. So I love this book. I would recommend this to most parents starting, depending on your style. So this is a super hands-on plan and prep curriculum, I guess you could say. So everything in here, I mean, it's very thorough. She's going to tell you exactly what to do step by step, but you need to make sure that you're really planning and prepping. And with my work schedule, I just did not have time for this every single day. I didn't have time for it. So I went onto Amazon and I just got this IXL Ultimate First Grade Math Workbook. And this is how my son thrives in math. He does really well with workbooks. So this is all of this material covered is also in this book. And so I just make sure that I'm hitting what's in here on these pages. And so far, it's really been great. It's been a lot less headache. I don't have to pull out as much for every single lesson. You know, we're still getting everything done that needs to get done. And so I just am very happy with this switch. This IXL has a whole series, so I honestly might go ahead and get the pre-K one for my daughter as well. I'm not positive yet, though. I don't want to like make any sudden changes for her. Okay, next up is our language arts. So if you watched my curriculum picks video, you'll recall we just did Dash into Learning. And Dash into Learning is honestly amazing. It's one of my favorite reading programs I have found. However, I have been kind of struggling with going a little bit more in depth with things. So what I did was picked up some supplemental, and this is very much supplemental. We do not do this every single time we pull out these. So I did like some spelling for him. I got this Evan Moore Grammar and Punctuation Level 1 just to kind of explain a little bit better some like grammar and punctuation rules, quite literally, that like I couldn't just come up with or didn't really know where to fit in. And then I also had this Blossom and Root Language Arts Level 1. And so this one is really great. I noticed that honestly, these two kind of like go hand in hand really well. I was surprised. They teach a lot of the same things. So what I've been doing is kind of trying to pull some of it from here and here, but still really using this because he has loved Dash. So we added some spelling and we added a little bit of narration. We don't do this every time. As you can see, there's only a couple in here. He didn't want to draw this day. I'm not going to make him because I still feel like it's early for him to be like deep into handwriting, but he does need to do it every once in a while. So that was like our change for that. Okay, and then our last three core subjects that we have to do for New York State requirement is science. So science, I stuck with the Blossom and Root Science Year 1. We love this. We really do. The only thing is I don't get this. I'm not a book basket person, so we don't get as many books as they recommend, but they do have it for like all, I don't know if you can see this very well. So like for the outdoor learner, things like that. You don't always have to go like super into the books. So I really just love it. This is like very adaptable to your style. And so we did stick with this one. The kids have been loving the science experiments. They're easy, they're cheap, and they're not super, super messy. So this is a keeper. I love this one. For geography, we are still doing Me on the Map. This one's been great too. It's very like hands-on, very in-depth, but at like their level. And we've really been enjoying this one. We only do this once a week to hit our hours for it, but we do circle back to what was gone over in the book. So it's more of just like a review at that point. And then lastly is our history. We did Blossom and Root again for history. This one again is really great because it's leveled learning. So it suggests, grade levels, or if you have like a sensitive learner. But what I love most about this is you can go as in depth on a subject as you want. And this gives you the resources to reference if you want to do so. And so we've really, really enjoyed this one. The kids like doing it. The books that go along with it are awesome. They're not like normal textbooks. They have little crafts and stuff in them. So this has really been awesome. Okay, and for little Miss Dahlia. So in the beginning of the year, I'm going to eat my words. She was like a level pre-KK. I did kindergarten with her a little bit. And I very quickly realized that she was just memorizing things so that she kind of just found it as more of a game. She wasn't really retaining. You could tell in like conversation afterwards, she wasn't really retaining the information like she should have been. So we kind of just went no school with her. She wasn't required to do anything at all. And I do hit on this a lot in some of my things that I post anyways. So she's not required to do anything at all. She can do whatever she wants if she wants. But recently she's been asking for a lot more workbooks. So I pulled back out her Habitat Schoolhouse preschool. And she's been loving it. She loves the animals. She loves the nature. It's been perfect. This is very, very hands-on. So there's like a lot of coloring, painting, and that is like right up her alley. So this has been going really, really well. And I've been noticing guys, we've literally been doing this for like 2 weeks maybe, for 2 weeks with her. And she's already like, it's just a change. Like she's already trying to sound out words to try to read more, and she's picking up more books, and she's like, oh, can we learn about this animal? He was on my page. And she calls it her little pea book. So he was in my pea book. Can we learn about the frogs? And so that's really, guys, that is what I am looking for in a curriculum. I want something that they want to turn to every single day or almost every single day, and they enjoy it. So I'm super happy that we switched back to that. So besides our curriculum, we did change a few other things and kind of went back to the way that we used to do things in the first place. And so what we do now is we hit our required amount of hours, but not in your normal school district time frame. We school year round so that we're still hitting all of our hours, but we don't feel like we need to mash 4 or 5 hours of learning into one day. And sometimes this kind of happens anyways, right? Like you're outside, you're on the trail, and you start talking about birds, and then you come home and you watch a video about birds, and then you open up the encyclopedia, and then you draw a bird and you identify, and eventually that just turned into a 2-hour thing about birds. So sometimes that does happen, but what I mean by that is we're not sitting down trying to cram in 4 hours of straight up book work into every single day. And so we do this year round now, and we've gone around a new rhythm, working around both of our work schedules. So I've touched on this before. I work a few days out of the home and in the home, and my husband works full-time in the home. 1 day a week goes to the office, but he needs to be at his computer where I have a little bit more freedom. I can clock in, do what I need to do while the kids are sitting next to me doing their stuff. So we needed to figure out how we were going to give them the time they needed while still getting done what we needed to get done for our family. So we kind of created these new rhythms and just kind of fell into this new flow of things, honestly. So now what we do is when I work outside of the home, those days are normally 5 hours I'm gone and then I'm home. But Reed also does an after school program. I call it after school because it's after the school district program, but we just send him so that he can make friends and socialize and all of those homeschool things that non-homeschool people worry about. But anyways, so he does that. So on those days, the work that we do is mostly activity books. So my son, like I had just showed you, he loves to do his math activity book. That is something that we save for those days. Things that we don't need to pull all of the things out or plan a whole lesson around. And we do those things so that we can still fit it in, we're still hitting on things, and it's still getting done. But when we do that, we make sure that that same night we kind of talk about what we learned, but not in a way that it's like, okay, let's sit down and review. Like we're watching TV and we'll be like, oh my gosh, buddy, do you remember when you just did this workbook earlier? Like, what was that about? I wasn't in the room with you. It's like easy ways like that you're kind of recalling that information. One, you're making sure it's retained. And two, you're hitting on it again because repetition is learning. You need to like learn these things a few times in a time period to really make sure that you have an understanding of it. So we do that now. And then on the days that I don't work, I go full out with the kids. I don't mind pulling out all of the things and, planning and really prepping like a fun, super engaging hands-on activity. And that is still most of the time. That's usually 4 or 5 days a week. So that is kind of how we have worked around the time needed to do all of this. And I think it's just been better, you guys, honestly. I think that we've really just gotten into it. We found kind of what works for us. And so I really wanted to make this video to share our story, but let you know that, it's okay if it's not working. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, the style you thought is not the style you stick with. I bought a classical learning book as my first homeschool book. I really thought that I wanted to sit down and do structured homeschool. And after we kind of took more of a nature-based approach, I was like, oh wow, this is not what I want at all. So it's really okay to change styles, change curriculum, change whatever you need to change to keep up what is going to work for you. Because that is what this channel is all about, you guys, helping you thrive in your homeschool. So if you found this video at all helpful, please consider subscribing, hit the bell. I'm here every Wednesday, so I will see you next week. And while you're at it, you might as well go on over to Instagram, give us a follow. Over there, I share more tips and encouragement in our day-to-day life of unschooling. So if you're kind of looking for bits of information or sometimes you don't really know where to start, that's a really good place to go over. Plus, there are tons of other amazing homeschool moms, some of which I follow, some of which maybe you could introduce me to. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.